I kept promising myself 5 quiet minutes, and the feed kept taking 60. I'd look up with a faster pulse, a heavier head, and a first step that felt impossible. I told myself I needed more motivation. What I really needed was less noise. The problem wasn't that I was weak. The problem was that I was saturated, soaked in tiny hits of novelty that made real work feel flat by comparison. I didn't need a new personality. I needed a reset small enough to survive my worst days. I called it a gentle dopamine detox. Reduce the stimulation inputs that hijack attention. Add low stimulation starts my tired brain could keep, and collect one small proof every day. This is the story of how a few quiet decisions turned scrolling into starting, dull into doable, and delay into movement. By the end, you'll have one 2-minute doorway and one no phone block. You can begin tomorrow morning without a big speech or a perfect mood. Most mornings started with a glow. The phone reached me before the day did messages, feeds, 100 invitations to look everywhere but here. The first hour dissolved into clever headlines and short videos that made everything else feel slow. When I tried to begin real work, it felt like dropping from a fireworks show into a quiet library. The contrast hurt. I called it boredom, when it was really withdrawal from constant novelty. My brain had learned to expect rewards on tap, so effort treating, writing, solving felt like friction. I would open a document, feel the weight of that first sentence, and retreat to the lightest, easiest thing near me. It wasn't a lack of discipline. It was training. I had trained my brain to crave constant stimulation. I tried bigger goals and stricter calendars. I tried to shame myself into focus. I tried heroic routines designed for my best self, not the tired, distracted one that actually woke up. The routines always cracked by Wednesday, and every crack felt personal, like a failure of character. The truth I was avoiding was simple. I was asking a saturated brain to love silence without ever teaching it how. I wanted deep work to feel exciting immediately, but it rarely does. Deep work is quiet at the beginning and rewarding only after you start. My mistake was demanding the reward first. Meanwhile, I kept feeding my mind small, easy pleasures that weakened my appetite for the work that would actually move my life forward. Overstimulation doesn't just scatter your attention, it bends your expectations of reality. When novelty arrives, every 8 seconds on a feed, anything slower feels wrong, broken, or boring. I mistook that discomfort for a sign to stop, rather than a signal to stay. Each time I said later, I trained my mind that my own word could slide. That habit bled into other corners of my life. Messages I postponed, workouts I skipped, sleep I delayed with just one more scroll. My identity slowly slid from I do what I say to I intend to. It's a small shift on paper, but a heavy one to carry. There was another hidden cost. Decision fatigue. Every tiny choice now or later. This task or that. 5 minutes or 10 spent mental energy I needed for the real work. By noon, I felt used up without having accomplished anything meaningful. The phone wasn't the villain. It was the vending machine. My brain kept paying for sugar when what it really needed was food. The stakes weren't just about productivity. They were about self-trust. Without self-trust, even your wins feel like accidents. With it, small actions compound into a powerful identity. If I wanted different results, I had to change the environment that trained me, the first minute that trapped me, and the way I ended my tasks, so my brain wanted to come back. The turning point arrived as a sentence I couldn't argue with. If everything is always stimulating, then nothing is truly meaningful. I decided to create contrast on purpose each morning when the world was quiet by design. Not as a punishment, as a relief. For the next 7 days, the first 30 to 60 minutes would be no phone, low stimulation, and anchored to one tiny action that produced a real result. I put the phone in another room, turned off all non-human notifications, and staged my tools where my hands would find them first. My book, open to the right page, the document I needed on the screen, a pen under a sticky note that said just one thing. 2 minutes. That first morning was not glamorous. It was just quiet. I opened the blinds, drank some water, and read one paragraph aloud. 2 minutes passed, and I stopped. On purpose. That part mattered. The brain remembers how experiences end. Kind endings invite repeat attempts. I didn't feel heroic. I just felt possible. By the third morning, something unexpected appeared. Calm. Not the fireworks of the feed, but a steady, quiet light I could actually work by. Motivation didn't lead. It followed movement, as it so often does. This detox wasn't about a drastic cleanse. It was a conversation, less noise and more signaled out. Repeated until the signal became familiar and trustworthy. Here's the simple plan I still use, and how you can copy it tonight. First, reduce the spikes. For 1 week, move your phone out of arm's reach for the first hour of your day. Turn on grayscale mode. Disable all non-human notifications. Sign out of the one app that grabs you first. You're not punishing yourself. You're just lowering the volume so your own signal can finally surface. Second, add low stimulation starts. Pick one action that produces a small, real outcome in just 2 minutes. Read a paragraph aloud. Write one rough sentence. Outline 3 bullet points for a project. Solve one single example problem. This is your doorway. Put the tools in place the night before so your hands land on them before your excuses wake up. Third, create a no-phone first block. Start with 10 minutes sunlight, some water, 1 minute of movement in your 2-minute doorway. You can optionally extend it to 12 or 15 minutes. The rule is flexibility with a non-negotiable floor. If life is loud and chaotic, you just pay the minimum 2-minute entry. If life is light, you add a few more minutes. Either way, the block stays no phone. Next, design friction, not force. Make starting your task easier than scrolling, and make scrolling slightly harder than starting. Keep your document open to the right page. Place a cue where you tend to stall a glass of water by your notebook. A pen under that sticky note that says 2 minutes. Decisions made in seconds outrun excuses that take minutes to form. Track your visible proof. 1 dot on a calendar, 1 check on a card, 1 line in a tiny log. You're not chasing streaks. You're collecting evidence that you are the type of person who shows up. On difficult days, pay the minimum and leave proud. On strong days, let that motion create more motion. Use a 20-minute focus block and keep your first break away from your phone. And when you feel the itch to scroll, replace high stimulation with low. Offer a 90-second alternative. Stand up and breathe. Step outside for a moment. Stare at something alive like a plant, or write a single line about what you're doing next. The urge to scroll rises, peaks, and falls. Learn to surf it, don't obey it. Finally, grow by 1 small notch. After a week, extend your 2-minute doorway by 1 to 3 minutes not. 30. Add depth slowly. The goal is not a perfect detox. It's building a sustainable contrast your brain can trust. 7 days later, my life didn't look that different to anyone else, but it felt completely different to me. The first hour no longer vanished into the feed. The blank page that once looked like a wall began to look like a door I had practiced opening every day. 2 minutes became 8, then 15, then a calm focus block that left a clean, satisfying taste in my head. The feed didn't lose all its appeal. It just lost its place at the front of the line. I still scrolled, but only after I started my important work. That alone was a victory I could measure. The biggest change wasn't the clock. It was trust. I trusted myself to begin without waiting to feel ready, and that made the rest of the day feel lighter. Projects moved forward in quiet centimeters that added up. Messages got answered because my brain wasn't overheated by noon. Sleep came easier because the day ended with proof rather than empty promises. The detox didn't turn me into someone else. It returned me to someone I recognized, more present, less pulled, and capable of choosing the deep work over the loud distractions. The difference between a stuck week and a moving one wasn't force. It was design. Less noise in. Simple starts out. Repeated until my identity caught up with my actions. If this story gave you even a small breath of space, protect it. Tonight, stage your tools where your hands will find them first. Move your phone out of reach for the morning. Decide on your 2-minute doorway. Read aloud. Write 1 line. Solve 1 problem and let that be enough. In the morning, lower the volume. Open that door and collect one small piece of proof that you can lead your attention. Do it again tomorrow. When you take back control of your mind, you take back control of your life. For more stories that reset your mind, meet BeNextYou. Thanks for watching.